Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with a free premium deck profile. It's a Narukami deck profile. This probably will be the second last one I did for the free clan collection updates. I still have one coming up, unless I forgot if I have more. But so far I think there's two more. If you want to look at the previous ones, you can check out my playlist on my channel with a V standard deck profile that you can see a lot of different older deck profiles that I did. For example, updated Starvaders, Girafa, and Tachi, for example, those you can, and also the Musketeer that I did before. Since V Clan Collection actually landed on Anger's side as well for a little bit of time, so I think it's good to continue to cover them up while you guys still have interest on these profiles. So, Narukami. Now, it is interesting, the deck, but I have to say I rely on the old cards a little bit more. So it's good support, but it's not completely changing the deck. Have some new techs, have some new way of playing the deck, but overall it's not too much of a difference. And let's get into the profile. So starter, just start with this. Nothing too fancy, just any starter you want. Still draw your one and get your quick shield when you're basically going second, unless your opponents cannot ride and you ride first, then that's another story, but yeah, usually that. Next is the new card, Eradicators, Vowing Dragon. Now, his skill is very interesting. First skill, during your turn, if your opponent had a normal unit that get bind, except from the deck, then they can choose up to one of the card with the same name and bind it from deck. Then shuffle the deck. Now, if they do bind the extra card from the deck, you give one of your unit +5. But if they do not, then instead of 5k, you get 10k. So this skill is very interesting because you're basically trying to get rid of units that your opponents have while also taking out the resources from the deck if they don't want you to give you a lot of power. So you do have to give a lot of pressure with this deck, and it's a little bit weird to me that you need to push for a faster game so that you can be threatening, but at the same time you also need to stay a little bit longer in order to fully use this, all his effects, including the second effect, which is when this card is being right on top, call this card to the Riga circle, and for each 2 damage you have, your opponents will, you can choose your opponent's drop zone and bind a unit. Now, this, if you rewrite another Falling Sword on top of Falling Sword, you can use that effect to bind one from drop, and then use the effect to +5 or +10 depending on if your opponent's willing to give you another card, which is good. It's good. But without this, being on the Vanguard circle, the bind is not too important. It's not too important. And maybe you will also see in my fight video, which I will also say this card only care about binding normal unit, basically. So there are chances that you just bind trigger units and nothing happens, because if you don't bind a normal unit, you can't get the 5k. So I might actually, in the playtesting I did, also forget about this part, but if I do, I will stay it there, because I don't haven't get a chance to completely play before today, so I've tested a lot and now I know what I need, and that's why I can do this deck profile. So this is something that if you first touch the deck, you might confuse yourself a little bit. Sometimes we just can't read, but yeah. But do be careful. What matters about the +5 and +10 is through normal units. And as I said, the second skill, if you are not riding on top of the same copy, usually is not that scary. Now, next, I am running 3 of the Descendants, because Descendant is still a very good finisher. to threaten your opponents, and this gives you two routes to go. One is you ride Descendant first, and then ride your other great resource, for example a Vowing sword, to copy the Descendant skill while you're trying to give power to other units, because your Descendants will also can Soul Blast 1 and bind 1 front row and pull 1 from the back out, which will fulfill the requirement for Vowing sword to actually be active, to use the plus power skill. And this is not once per turn, so if you did that and you use other things and keep pumping your unit's power, maybe that can be your power turn. Yeah. But Descendant, just by restanding himself or allowing other units to restand themselves, can be a good finisher. And of course, there's one Gauntlet Buster for the pressure, especially when you are fighting against the XL deck, that they love to build up their XL circle, and you can just reuse them to gain that much crit for yourself, and still a good combo with Descendant to do a high crit, high power restand attack. And of course, we do have some card restricts right there to make your opponents to drop a lot more cards, or even just win the game from there. Now, grade 2s, starting with the new card, which is Sparkling Dragon, is a Eradicators unit, and the skill is quite simple. During your turn, as long as your opponents have bind cards for each they have, you get 10k plus. So the more you bind, the more power he has, but only during your turn, of course. And the second skill is helping you to do that. When this unit attack battle ends, counterblast 1, you can choose the column that this unit is at and bind all the front row rearguard of that column and pull the back row in front. Now, this is a little bit tricky to use because that really limits where you can call this card, because you need to exactly choose the same column. So usually it will just be the left or right radar circle to your Vanguard if they have units. If they don't, then of course you probably just don't care, and after you land this unit on, maybe your opponents will keep their front row empty of that column, no matter by using skill to put them into soul after attacks, drop them to the drop zone, or whatever, in order to not let you to bind their cards. So in a way, it's good that you've kind of limits your opponent's movements, but at the same time they're trying to also limit you. So be careful to use this card, but he can be useful, at least for the power plus is definitely welcome. And then Cho for the restand attack, through playtesting I don't see this quite important anymore, for real. Maybe because I'm also fighting a XL deck that I do use a lot of resources, but he's not actually attacking that much because we are not playing a Vanquisher build. We don't always get the 10k plus, and the 10k plus source is here, but you need to make your opponents not binding a card from deck. So, and there are times that you are not riding on your Vowing sword, of course, and that make this punch a lot smaller. So do be careful, but it's still a good tech. At least it can help you to bind the front row, to keep creating the bind cards so you can fully utilize your Spark Rain or make your Counter Buster a lot easier to run, and just keep pulling units to the front so you can just wipe them up, kill the board, wipe all the resources while giving pressure to them. Then when they don't have any cards in hand, then you might win from there. That's another way to win. Next, 2 of the straight times, because I do have Gauntlet Buster and it's a good power card and card drawing source. You do lose the intercept if you put him into soul and draw 1, but sometimes that really saves you. a 5k shield into soul, draw you maybe a 10k shield, 15k shield, or even a PG, sometimes just saves you. And next, two of the Spark Rays. I don't see a lot of people playing this anymore, but personally I still like this card. Allow me to, on Vanguard Circle, to +5 and search anything I want. That is Eradicators, look at top 5. Because I do want to do my sequence right with my Grave Freeze. So if I'm missing pieces, I'm definitely welcome to ride him or even call him to find cards. Basically ride him to search, because you call him you can't search, but he also get a 5k. So even when Heal Guardian is now a thing, they +10. Even though you still +10, but the shield is 15k. So if they +10, then they still need to give you a little bit more, right? So that's something that kind of ruined the calculation a little bit, and giving you more chances and willing to attack with regard first, because even if they get a defensive, and if they are sometimes maybe already on Grave Freak or whatever, sometimes, or when they are in a very hard to attack Vanguard, you at least is still 14k, waiting a trigger to be 24, so your opponents will still need to give you a little bit more to guard. Or if you just attack with regard, they don't have defensive and you swing, they can't just give you a 15k because it's still a 1 to pass. If they're on grade 2, usually 9k. Unless they're 10k, then maybe you give him a boost, then that's another story again. And also, he can simply just Soul Blast 1 to draw 1 on hit, which is quite important, even though he needs to hit the Vanguard, but the pressure is still there. So I like the drawing power. I do want more Soul Blasting Swords, that's why I'm running it. And now we are entering great ones. First, Demolished Dragon, which is the new support, but this time he's a Eradicators now, and become a lot better card. So what he does is, when he attacks or boosts battle ends, if the attack hits, draw 1 and choose up to 1 card from your opponent's draw, bind it, and if this card in Vanguard Circle, put it in your soul. So as long as this card hits, you draw 1 and basically this card goes to your soul. The binding drop is something extra, not always happens, because if you are fighting decks that are good at controlling the drop or not guarding a lot early, that you need to create the pressure for, you won't be able to bind those cards. But in later game, when you bind cards with these effects, you can actually activate a Vowing Sword also, so that can change a little bit things and kind of forcing this attack not to hit. But of course, have to say, we do want this attack to hit so that we can keep getting more resources. But even if the attack is not hit, he's still there. You can use it another turn and see if you can draw a card, bind a card, and put this card in your soul. And free of the Nusk, another Eradicator searcher, kind of helping you to increase the accuracy of, again, writing the sequence or finding the missing pieces before you misgrade, because there are times that this kind of things happens, we don't have a ride deck, so being able to search is great, even though you need to basically 1-for-1, but sometimes you really have some pieces you do have too much, you are willing to drop while you're trying to search, and as long as you don't add any card to your hand, you don't lose anything. So if you really see something that you don't want to pick it up, that's fine. And free of the Rising Phoenix, just because this Rising Phoenix can just always revive, something that you're willing to drop with these, or maybe your Researcher, and even a Descendant skill, or even a Gauntlet Blaster skill. There's so many ways that you can drop it, and even if you ride it, you still have like your Spark Rays, your Descendant to Soul Blast that out. So very easy to utilize, and you can just use it for a PG cost, use it as a 10k shield, and then revive it and become 11k attacker booster. Basically, he help you hit a lot of stuff. And then Kaiban for the guard restrictions, because we run Descendant, so that's important. And since we also have a Troll there, if we can basically pump all the powers to Troll, make him a very high one punch, while you kind of withstand with Descendant, because you don't have any Descendant exist, only Vowing Sword and Counterbuster, you can at least create another powerful column to attack that cannot be Sentinel. Then maybe that's your win card. So I still love this card, but one is enough, because you don't always need it, but it's good to have. And any triggers, 3 crit, 7 crits, 4 draw, 5 draw, and 3 heal guardians. Now, I might actually change 2 to the 20k ones, maybe just because the matchup I play with usually makes me go first, so I don't see the need of using this, but there are always a chance that you go second and you face a highly multiple attack focused deck like Paramount and such that can give you a lot of trouble. So I think Heal Guardian is still needed, but if you really prefer the 20k shield, I'll just change 2 into the 20k shield. So it's up to you, but so far this is still doing me okay. So I probably will just keep this version a little while changing the 20k shield sometimes to give it the feel. Yeah. So that's basically the list, and what we are mainly doing with the deck is, have to say, kind of the same as before, but now we do have a little bit different in sequence. What we do usually in the past is we write a Descendant, the next we write a Descendant or write a Counterbuster and see if we can win there. But if you go with a Descendant, you withstand 2 times, and next time you do the same thing again and do it again until you get a Counterbuster and do 2 attacks with high power. But now you have this, so you do have 2 first right options unless you're going for rush. Say first you write this, which you do have to rely on other cards to bind cards to actually jump the power up. Then next you can say write another one, pull one out, bind another card, and then use the other cards to try to bind another card. Or you can go for Descendant, still pull this out, bind one card, but unfortunately do nothing else there, trying to withstand, and next turn go for another options. Or you can go for a Descendant first, trying to threaten your opponents a little bit, and next riding into a Vowing Sword. Then now you copy the Descendant skill, so you can Soul Blast 1 to bind something in the front row, and use the skill to pump power-ups to your front row, and then try to swing to whatever you want. If you are fighting a 4-stack, you can actually just swing for 12, giving power to the side and withstand with the Descendant skill that you copied, and then you swing again and do something else. That's also possible. Then you can do some card switch and creating a high power one punch, maybe with Kaiban next to it, to give it extra push that cannot be Sentinel, and then wait for your Counterbuster. Because have to say, the win con is still on these. This is helping you to make the game annoying, but the finisher is still here. Even though you might just run on top, but the skill that allows you to win is still the standard Descendant give, and without the Descendant skill or his own skill when you run on top, to bind an extra card, you do need to find your other pieces to bind cards in order to activate this effect to keep power. And if your opponent is so generous to keep giving you units, you're only +5, so there may be chances that you actually need to take XL1 if you are confident with your draw power. If not, just +5 with the XL2 sometimes it's not enough to push through. So this is something that you do need to take note on. I try XL2 most of the time, and sometimes I really find the Cho-O is not hitting good enough. Because even with the 5k plus is 19, so it's not a lot of a threat. But if you're going for XL1 even +5, it's still a 24. So yeah, that's something that we might need to think a little bit more when actually playing the game and see how fast you want to apply the pressure. Because if you're going for XL1, you are lacking the draw power, extra draw power from the gift markers, but you can push a little bit more. But if you can't push enough, then there's a high chance that your opponents will just wipe your board or just focus on your Vanguard, so you can't rebuild your whole board because you don't have the XL2 markers to help you to draw cards back. And that may be your reason to lose. So do talk with your hand, knowing what you lack of power or hand size, and choose the XL marker, and from there use the new cards to apply some pressure, keep cleaning some cards, because as long as you can clean some cards from the drop or the field, there's always a chance for Vowing Sword to give you more value. He will give you power no matter what, but if you can trying to bait your opponents to actually buy more cards from the deck, yes. The downside is they might hit triggers a lot easier because you're only binding normal units, but there are also a chance that you can deck them out. Not very high chance, of course, but you take away their key units out, like the key attackers or key booster, that sometimes can also make them not able to do a lot of stuff. Like, they don't have their board anymore, they don't have a lot of cards in the deck anymore, maybe they can only do a Vanguard swing, or maybe they can only put 2 triggers down, then it's not hitting your Vanguard, and then just hoping from their high ratio trigger power to give power to those columns in order to hit you. That might be also a way that you can go on. Yeah, so do give it a try and let me know your thoughts, and we can discuss in the comment down below. And yeah, from there maybe we can find more ideas to even get this deck to another level. But for now, I think this is good. Good to just sometimes play with your friends, and not too hard to pilot as well. So again, give it a try and let me know what you think. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.